Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people like to listen? How do I make money from my podcast? Well, the answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. When I started using Anchor to do my podcast, it was so extremely easy that I haven't even bothered to look for another app to use. I love this app. It's the only one I deal with, the only one I even recommend, period. I recommend you get on there ASAP. If you want to start a podcast, this is definitely the place to go. It's easy. You can drive around and record. You can sit in your basement and record. You can do it anywhere. It's fantastic. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast, make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start, anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast. Hey, welcome back to the Really Rich Podcast. It's Adam Rich. And listen, I want to try something a little bit different today. Instead of doing, I normally do my podcast. I set it up kind of the same way. And I usually kind of have a topic that's either on my mind or something that was really concerning to somebody that, maybe they were having a conversation with me, or something that was really on their mind, or whatever. Anyway, I usually kind of just pick a topic that I really want to sink home to somebody to try to help them in some way. Maybe they're going through it. Maybe certain episodes you're listening to and you feel like it doesn't really apply to you, or maybe you already know the information or something. But I'm always just trying to put it out there and try to help people any way I can. But what I wanted to do is, I've been getting a lot of questions lately, and so sometimes I'll build topics around that and I'll just try to do a deep dive. But, I feel like I'm not doing it justice by, I feel like I'll do the topic justice of the day, but I feel like I don't cover a lot of different topics in one episode. And I'll get questions, and I wanted to do kind of a segment maybe once a week or once in a while or whenever that, I guess, frequently asked questions. And I get these questions coming at me, and the ones that I seem to get asked more often than not, I just wanted to kind of touch on today. So, with no further ado, is that how you say that? This is why I shouldn't say shit that I don't know. If you try to use terms that just to add some spice or some flavor, and you don't really fully grasp how to use the shit properly, it can be a disaster. But that's neither here nor there. Let's dive into some of these questions. It's just something a segment that I want to start doing, basically to help you out. I just want to answer more, and I don't want to ignore the questions. I mean, there's a reason I ask you guys to get a hold of me and talk to me and ask questions or agree, disagree, whatever. And I want to kind of do that today. So maybe I'll try to make it a Friday thing. Maybe I'll do it once a week. Who knows? But no further ado, I think that's the one. So here we go. Somebody, a person asked, and I don't, unless you guys tell me that you want me, that you don't mind me saying your name, I don't want to use the name unless I know it's okay with you first, because some people just don't like being called out. Maybe you have a question that you might think is stupid, and I honestly don't think any question's stupid, because how are we going to learn if we don't ask, right? So, but if you think it might be stupid, maybe some people get embarrassed. They want to ask the question, they want to know the answer, but they don't want other people to know they're the one. So until you guys say that you want me to give names, I'm not going to do that. I'll just give the question, right? So the first question, and it's a good one. I hear it, quite regularly, and to a lot of very negative people, it's hard to comprehend, or it's hard to think this way when you're in a bad mood, or when some shit's going on. But anyway, the question is, why should I be positive even in the worst times when everything seems to be falling apart? So why should you be positive even in the worst times when everything seems to be falling apart? Like, what is the benefit, I guess, is how I'm taking this question. What's the benefit of being positive while everything around you is so negative? And listen, there's a short answer and a long answer. The short answer is because it doesn't help to be negative. But let me dive a lot deeper than that. When you're going through a tough time and everything around you seems to be collapsing, everything is just falling apart, shit's just going wrong left and right, what is the benefit of being positive? Here's what I believe it is. It's kind of a twofold thing. One, being negative, like I said, short-term answer, being negative doesn't help. And this is true. I'm not just saying, it's not just a cliche thing. It's 100% real. Being negative about any situation is not going to make the situation positive. If you're thinking negatively, then you can't look at things positively because you're thinking negative. You're already in that bad space. You're already in a space of looking at things poorly. So that being said, being negative is not going to change a situation to become positive. It takes actions, it takes thoughts, it takes, depending on what it is that we're talking about, it takes many variables. But being negative, worrying, panicking, things like that, it never helps. It doesn't there's no physical benefit to thinking shitty things are going to happen, because even if they do happen, even if you think that something bad's going to happen and then it happens, what gratification do you have in being right, knowing that things suck, or knowing that things are going to be shitty for you? There's really no gratification in knowing that your situation is shitty. There's nothing positive about that. So that doesn't help you. And secondly, and in my opinion, more importantly, as far as stress goes, as far as your mentality, as far as depression or sadness or bitterness or anger, being positive clears all of that. Being positive and thinking good things are happening, thinking good things are going to happen, even when things are not looking good, it helps you mentally. It helps you with stress. It helps you with your anger and bitter. It keeps you level-headed, cool, calm, collected when shit's going bad. And sometimes, let's be honest, sometimes things are so frantic and poor and bad around us that it can affect many people as well as ourselves around us at the same time. And a lot of times, if you're the person that seems calm, cool, and collected, you're looked at as the leader, as the hero, as the smart one, as the right one. You're looked at as, man, we can follow this person. We can trust this person. This person's calm under storms. And it almost gives you somewhat of a power over other people. Not in a manipulative, evil, shitty way, but I mean a power in the sense of you can be the leader, you can be the good one, you can be the one that helps calm things down when shit's getting crazy. And like I said, with the stress levels, stress is terrible on your body. You can't physically see stress, but what it does to the human body has been documented scientifically. It's a proven thing. Stress is not good for you. It's not good to be negative and think poorly, especially what if things turn around and go right? Then what benefit did you have by being negative? Because now you're wrong and you caused all that extra stress and depression and anger and all that stuff on yourself, when if things end up positively for you, then you did it all for nothing. You stressed about shit for nothing. You got angry, you got mad, you got panicky or worrying for nothing. If things end up good, and you were wrong, then two things: you're wrong and it affected you in a horrible way. Physically it can. And think about it. If you're a very negative person and you think if you're very negative and you think the worst is going to happen, and you start saying that to other people, now not only can you cause them to panic or cause them to be angry or sad, you've now affected them in a bad way. You've now caused them to stress out. You've now caused them to be angry and mad and negative and bitter and shit. And why do you want to be the cause of that? Unless you're trying to harm somebody, like emotionally or whatever, why would you want to do that? Like, what if you're the dad or the mom of 1 kid, 2 kids, 5 kids, whatever, and you're always negative and angry and stressed and then that rubs off on your kids. Now you've affected their lives with that bullshit. And for what? I mean, half the time the things end up positive. I find that when you look for positivity, when you look for positives, even in shitty situations, you're going to find them. Like for instance, like when Hurricane Katrina hit and it devastated New Orleans, that was a horrible thing. Obviously, that's a terrible thing. You would look at that and you'd be like, there's no positives about Hurricane Katrina. Well, here, there is positives. And I'm not saying it's a good thing that Katrina happened and that it fucked up New Orleans. But what I'm saying is, once the bad has occurred, then you can look for what positives come from it. And here's the positives that came from it. When this shit happened, the Hurricane Katrina thing, even when the one storm, I can't remember the hurricane's name now. Was it Dorian? It might not have been Dorian. Well, the one that wrecked Texas, Houston, and just destroyed the area. What happens when these things happen? Like even when 9/11 happened, terrible thing. What happens though, and positively, is the country, the people come together and help. People that were strangers, people that have never, maybe your neighbors, maybe your neighbors hate you. Never have liked you, or never, maybe they don't hate you, but they just never wanted to be involved in your life. They never wanted to talk to you. Well, when a dramatic tragedy happens in our country, especially like a natural event, a natural occurring thing, like not one person did some bad stuff, but like a lot of people's lives got disrupted and devastated, it tends to bring out the good in people to help each other. And yes, the bad thing has happened, but it's over now. There's nothing you can't go back and take away Hurricane Katrina. You can't go back and take away 9/11. You can't go back and change the bad that happened with it. But what you can do is you can search and look for the positives that came from it. It brought a nation together, at least temporarily. It may not have lasted. There's obviously a lot of divide now, but it brings people together. The sense of unity and communion with each other is awesome. Is phenomenal. And I hate that usually tragedies tend to bring people. It's the same with funerals. I hate going to funerals for this. Everyone goes to a funeral and they get together, all these family that might not have seen each other for so long, they get together and they, a lot of times maybe you'll reminisce and appreciate the good things that the person did in their life and all that, but it's terrible the way it has, that the people have to come together. It's terrible that somebody needs to die in order for other people to be like, hey, let's all get together and see each other. It's horrible. But at the same time, it does bring families together, at least in one building, in one room and all that stuff, even if it's for temporary. So I found that with a lot of tragedy, if you look for the positives, you will find them, but you got to look. You can't just think negatively and live negatively, regardless what's going on around you, because all it does is just add stress, panic, depression, anger, sadness, all these things, all these bad, awful emotions and attitudes and mindsets that you don't need in your life. It's not helpful, So I hope that answered that question a little more thoroughly. To be honest with you, I could do a whole fucking hour talking about that stuff, probably even more than that, but I just find that being negative or thinking negatively there's not benefits to it. There's no real benefit to thinking that way. So I hope this answered that question. And honestly, I hope more than anything, I hope it just helped you in general see the outlook that I'm going with it. I mean, I'm fully aware that you should be aware of what negative things have happened around you, just so you know how to combat them and counter them. But dwelling on them and thinking that way regularly. If you walk into a situation where nothing is going wrong, but you assume something's going to, that's not helpful at all, because the worst thing that could happen in that scenario is you're right. That you walk in with that attitude, you think that things are going to go wrong, you're on edge the whole time wondering when's it going to happen, what's going to be wrong, I know some shit's going to go wrong. Well, now you're just in a bad mood, you're negative, thinking about shit that you shouldn't, and then say you're right. That's the that's the win, that's the victory that you get from it, is you can say, see, I knew it. If that's the best thing that can happen from it, then what good is that? So just stay positive, be positive. I understand bad things happen to good people all the time, sometimes more than others. But always look for the positives. Keep a good mindset so the stress and the anger doesn't overtake your life and change who you are as a person. It's just not, it ain't worth it. So let's move on to question number 2 here. Oh, and this one is one of my favorites. I love this one. This is, why is happiness more important than money? Can't I have both? Little 2-part action here. And, you know, here's the thing, man. Yes, you can have both. But here's the problem. If you're going to focus, if you're gonna gear your direction that you want to follow first and foremost, when you think about money first, and when you chase money first, and then hope that the money, you know, becoming rich will make you happy, you're losing every effing time. I'm serious. You're not going to go very far when your sole purpose, when the primary focus of your life is to chase money. There's no dollar amount where people just cut it off and say, that's it, I have enough, I'm done. Every time you hit a milestone of money, whether it's $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, $1 million, no matter what milestone you set for yourself, once you've hit that milestone, you always want more. Nobody ever says, that's the one, that's it, I'm done here. Like if you set out when you were 10 years old, you're like, I want to grow up and become a millionaire. That'll make me happy. Well, as soon as you hit $1 million, you're not going to be like, all right, that's it, I'm done working. It's over. We reached our goal. We're done now. Especially, what if you hit it when you're 20 and you got like 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 more years to live? You're done? Or are you going to recalibrate your fucking number and want to shoot for more? As soon as you hit 10 grand, I remember, I've done this shit. I know exactly how this goes. When I was young, when I was about 14 and I started working at Wendy's, my dad started to make me save money. He made me save money, and it was only $20 a week. Or it was actually $20 every 2 weeks. It was $20 a paycheck, and I got paid every bi-weekly, 2 weeks. So, but the fucked up part about it is, I was so upset when he told me I had to save money. That's $10 a fucking week. And I was like, no, it's my money. I want to spend it. And my dad was like, no, I'm making you say this. If you want to have money at all, if you want to do this, you're going to listen to me on this. Trust me, it's important. Before you know it, you're going to have all kinds of money in there and you didn't even know how it even got there. It's going to be second nature to you. And of course, the first time he told me that, I was like, yeah, bullshit. I don't buy it. But it's 100% true. I started saving the $10 a week, the $20 every 2 weeks. Every time my paycheck I would get it, an automatic $20 would go right into my bank account. And I think at that point, I physically had to put the 20 in there because I don't think I had direct deposit at that point. But every job I've had ever since then, he was 100% right. Once I had a little bit of money in there, and I couldn't he told me, he goes, just listen to me, just put the money in there and you can't touch it for 6 months. That's how he started it. And I was like, okay. So I did that. And after 6 months, I seen how much was in there. And I was like, wow, when you do it slowly, if you monitor the shit every week, you're going to drive yourself nuts because you're going to look at that price and it's going to always seem like it's not really moving much because you're constantly looking at it. But you think about it, you save $10 every single week. After 1 year, you got $520. Now, that doesn't sound like much, and it's really not. But however, how hard is it to save $10 a week? The scary thing is, for a lot of people, it's fucking hard to save $10 a week. It's really not. The problem is that people don't want to save money. They want to spend it. Every dime that we get, we want to plot out how much, or what we can buy with it. It's like, I've heard this before. I've even made the argument when I was young. I said, well, why am I working to make money if I can't spend it? I've heard that argument. I know that argument very well. And I understand that. That's the whole reason we work, is to afford shit, is to be able to have money to buy things. However, if every time you made $10 you spent it, would you ever be able to buy a house? Would you ever be able to buy a car? Would you ever be able to, go to the bar or have a decent night, like a nice meal? No, you'd be eating fucking $5 hot and readies from Little Caesars for the rest of your life. So the point is, if you want bigger things, more expensive things, you have to save unless you happen to just get that lump sum handed to you one day. I mean, if you were born into a family of wealth and your parents had millions of dollars and your salary was $100 every week or $100,000 a week, yeah, I'm sure it's a lot easier to afford a TV and a car. But when you only make, say, $200 a week, $500 a week, $1,000 a week, you can't, unless you save some of that money, how are you going to buy anything big or decent? You can't. So the point is, you have to save your money. We do it all the time. It's just people, it's like when you want something and you have your mind set on a specific item and you know exactly how much it costs, it becomes easy to save for that because you already know what you want to spend it on. But when you save with zero intention of spending it, and the whole purpose of saving your money is to just keep stacking and stacking and stacking and just see what happens, see where it goes, dude, shit becomes wild. When I first started working at the plastics company that I tell you about 15 years ago, I didn't have a 401k at all. After a year of working there, back then they allowed you after a year to get involved in starting to save in your 401k, and the company would match you 50% of whatever you put in. So if I put in $100, they would also put in 50. So my 100 turns to 150 immediately because they would match 50% of whatever you put in. It's amazing. Now, when the very first time I ever put any money in there, I think I saved, $40 a week, I think it was, is that I started saving. And so, after 1 week of saving, that's $60 because they're matching half. But $60 doesn't seem like a whole lot, obviously. If you just save for that 1 week, it's really not a whole lot. You're not really buying anything too valuable with $60. But you do that week after week after week, year after year, all of a sudden a decade went by, and I had many thousands in there. And then on top of that, see, it buys stocks and stuff in the 401k, so that actually adds up and it makes more money. And then when things devalue, then they buy more, and then it goes up, and then you make more, and it's this whole thing. But that's a different talk for another time. The fun part about it, though, is looking back 15 fucking years of not touching this money and seeing how much it is now. I'm not going to tell you the exact dollar amount, but it's over six figures. And that's just 15 years of just saving that little amount week after week, diligently and consistently and religiously for years. So it's like, now granted it's a 401k, so if I tried to cash that out, the government's going to take like 50% of that shit, so I'm going to lose half of it anyway. But if I don't, and I keep that in until I'm, 60, I always get the numbers mixed. There's like 62 and a half, there's like a 65, a 59 and a half, whatever fucking age is. Regardless, when I'm 60 something, if I don't touch that money, God knows how much it's going to be worth. But that's the whole point of saving money. And I'm kind of getting off in the weeds here. I know the question was more about being happy instead of the money thing, but the reality is there is no dollar amount that will just make you happy. Every time you make a certain amount of money and you spend it on something, you buy shit, it makes you happy temporarily until it gets old, and then all of a sudden now you want to buy more shit because the thing that used to make you happy no longer does because it's old. It's not new anymore. And that's how everything works. Every material object that you purchase gets that way. It becomes almost meaningless after a while. And so what I think of, it's impossible to have something like that give you happiness, bring you happiness, when shit's constantly getting old. And it's making it to the point where you don't even care about it much anymore. It's hard to live happy off of things that get old and depreciate and become devalued. You can't soak all your ounce of happiness into a dollar amount. It's not smart planning at all. So what I think is the most valuable way to go, the one thing I think that will make anybody the happiest is if you can find what you like, what you love, not what you just like. I mean, people like a lot of shit, but I'm talking about whatever the fuck it is that you love doing in your free time, whatever kind of thing that you love doing as a hobby, the thing that you like spending the most amount of time doing, turn that into your career. Find a way, like, even if you have to do it as a side job or spend time on the side because you have a full-time job somewhere else, if you are willing to make that sacrifice of your time to do what you love to do, then one day you'll actually be able to do it and get paid for it, and it will be your full-time job. It won't be a side job. It won't be something you do in your spare time. It'll be something you do for real all the time. And it's absolutely incredible when you do things like that, because if you enjoy it anyway, if you enjoy doing it for free, but you can find a way to make money doing it, talk about fucking happy. Not only are you making money, which we were just talking about, if you're the type that looks for money to be happy, well, if you can find a way to do what you love to do and make money doing that, that's how you get both. That is the only way that you can have both. If you want to make money, if you're chasing money and you want to be happy, I fully believe that you have to live in appreciation. You have to live with the assumption that what you have in life is worth being happy for. You have to understand that that there's things in your life that you have, like the fact that you're alive at all and breathing in this day and age is incredible. You don't have to be here. You know, like maybe your mom and dad started fooling around and then one of them got a phone call and they had to go home. You wouldn't be here. You know, maybe mom said, you know what, this is a little too much. Let's do this another night. It does. You don't have to be here is the point. Any, like 1 second difference and you might not be here today. I mean, maybe, look, I don't want to get too graphic. I'm just trying to say there's plenty of things your mom and dad could have done differently to make sure that you weren't here. So the fact that you're alive and being able to, like, even hear this at all shows how lucky and blessed you are to have an existence at all. And if that doesn't if you don't appreciate that, I mean, think of all the people that aren't here right now. Think of all the people that lived in the past, like 100 years ago, 500 years ago, 2,000 years ago. Like, if you think life was better then, like back then, than it is now, I don't even know what we're talking about. But the reality is you have so many benefits and things going for you in today's world. Listen, you might have a lot of shit in your past that doesn't make you happy. You know, you might have a lot of shit that you're like, man, I hate that I had to go through this, or I hate that this happened to me. And I feel for you, because we all have that. We all have something in our past that we're like, it just sucked to have to go through. But you're also here today. You're also alive and kicking. You're still breathing. So whatever it is that happened, it's in the past. It's over and done with. I sympathize for you for having whatever it is that you've gone through. But just know that everybody has something in their past that they're not very happy about, something that they're not very proud of, something that, when they think about it, they either get embarrassed or bothers them. And all I'm saying is when you live if you live life every day thinking about how much you appreciate what you have that others don't, that others would like kill for to have, like, it's hard to be very unhappy when you're constantly appreciating the wonderful things in your life that you do have or that you have experienced. You know, like, here's the thing. I remember years ago, loved Eminem. I still like Eminem, but I don't listen to him quite as much as I used to. But I love Eminem. He's from the same area as me, basically, roughly southeast Michigan. I almost said southwest. Southeast Michigan by Detroit. And for years, I was like, man, I want to go see him in concert. I want to go see him in concert. I want to go see him in concert. And finally, he came around. He was at Ford Field. I went and seen him in concert. Loved it. It was great. Now I can look back and I can appreciate the fact that I have that memory. I had that experience. You know, I don't have to go see it again. I mean, it'd be cool, I guess, to go see him again. But the point is, I have that memory, and so I appreciate the fact that I was able to do that. I went on a cruise once. I loved it. I thought it was phenomenal. I appreciate the fact that I was able to go do that I was able to go to certain parts of Mexico, and I was able to go to Cayman Islands and see all these wonderful people and wonderful sights and the beautiful palm trees and the clear, clean, crisp water ocean, you know? And it's just memories alone can make you appreciative. You know, you might think back to something you had, like, listen, maybe one of your parents isn't with you, maybe neither of them are with you, but if you look back at the memories of the good times you had with them, you can at least enjoy the memories. You can enjoy the experiences that you had. It's not just about what you currently have that you can hold today. It's about, what does your life consist of? Maybe you had shit in the past that was awesome. Maybe you don't have it today. At least you can appreciate the fact that you had it. Look, I'm losing part of my hair up front here, and I used to have wonderful hair. You know, I remember in high school I had like little frosted tips, the little platinum blonde tips, and I looked jazzy as fuck. But I don't have it anymore. I don't sit here and sulk about, oh, my hair, it's gone. I used to have great hair, and I used to love. No, I don't think like that. I think, man, I had some pretty fucking awesome hair. I had a good run there. That was awesome. You know, like, there was a truck that I had in high school that I really loved, and then I got it fucking totaled by being a kid and being stupid while I was driving. And I don't look back in shame or depression that I had it and I don't anymore. I look back and I go, man, that was a badass ride. I'm glad I got to experience that. That's the type of shit I'm talking about. When you can think about the experiences, the memories, the thing. Maybe you have an event coming up and you haven't gone to it yet, but you're excited at the fact that somebody asked you to be a part of it. Somebody asked you to go with them. Somebody said, hey, I need a +1. Can you go with me? Or somebody said, hey, I got tickets to go to this baseball or football game. Can you want to go? Like, maybe it hasn't happened yet, but maybe it's coming up. Like, there's plenty of things in life that are worth appreciating. If you go outside and it's a beautiful day out, if it's nice weather and it's nice and sunny and just perfect weather and the breeze is hitting you good, that is worth appreciating. You can't control that. You can't control the weather. So if that happens, if the weather happens, you know, and you happen to be a part of it, that's amazing. I remember back in, what year was it? It was either 2000, 2001 maybe. No, it might have even been a little after that. I don't remember exactly what year it was. I was working with my uncle. He had a tanning salon. I was working at the tanning salon with him. And I remember the weather got real fucking bad and there was like tornado watch and all this shit. And I remember it's the only time I've ever been this close, but I seen off in the distance. It wasn't close enough by us to where it would like affect immediately by us, but you could see off in the distance in the clouds, it's starting to swirl and starting to form and like start coming down towards the ground. And I remember seeing that and I thought it was fucking amazing to see. Now I don't remember. I don't think it touched down to the point where it like did any destruction. I don't think anyone got hurt or killed or anything like that. So if that happened, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be, I don't enjoy the destruction that comes with tornadoes, but I've always been fascinated by seeing that like formation of wind just swirling, like Mother Nature just showing how dominant it is, you know? And so anyway, I got a chance to see that and I thought it was fucking incredible. I thought it was great, but I wouldn't be saying that like if it destroyed hundreds of, killed hundreds and destroyed thousands of homes and all this stuff, I wouldn't be like, man, that's awesome. But the fact that I got to see something like that I was close enough to see it. Now, people in the Midwest or people in the middle part of the country, they see tornadoes. I mean, I don't know if they see them all the time, but if you guys live there, you know what I'm talking about. You get many more chances to see tornadoes than you do here in Michigan. They just don't happen very often. And when they do happen, you hear about them, but you don't really see much. And there's usually no footage of like a real devastating tornado. And like I said, I'm not like rooting for devastation. I just think it's incredible the power that happens from these things. But anyway, my point is like I appreciate experiences and past memories. I appreciate things that have happened in my life in the past, present, and possible future. But that's what makes me so happy in life. It's not money. It's not things. It's not items. It's not like I'm grateful I have a home. I'm not happy that it's a specific house in a specific place at a specific time and blah, 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 blah. I'm grateful that I have a home to live in, a shelter, a place that I can lay down at night and not have to worry about the weather or the elements or anything like that. I'm grateful that I have vehicles to get me around in. It doesn't matter which I mean, of course, the nicer, the better, obviously. But the point is, I'm grateful that I have the vehicles. A lot of people are upset that they have vehicles that they don't like. And it's like, yeah, but you should be grateful that you have a vehicle that gets you from A to B. You know, gets you to and from work, gets you to be able to go out and make a living and make money and drive around to go pick up groceries and get to a friend's house, go see some family, things like that. Like, those are the things I think about. Most people don't. A lot of people just think, oh, you know, that's cool, I have a car and all that, but I want a better car. I want a newer car. It's like, well, your car's a year and a half old. Yeah, I know, but it's old. I want a newer one. Like, dude, you could be saving your money. Instead of buying a new car every 2-3 years, you could be paying the one off, holding on to it for a few years, not having a car payment, stack the money that it would cost you to have the car payment, and then you could get something really fucking nice. You know, but people don't do that. They think that, like, if they buy things and they buy items that other people are impressed with, that somehow that'll make them happy. And it never does, because you're always chasing gratification. The bottom line is this. If you have, like, a piece of shit car and then you buy a nicer one, like, say you go from, I don't want to pick out a car just in case somebody hears this and they're going to go, oh, you talking shit about my car. But say you have some old ass hoopty that barely gets around, but it gets around. And then you're like, well, I'm going to spend my money and then buy a brand new car. But you buy a brand new car and it's only like a pickup truck, like a 2011 Colorado pickup truck. That's what I drive. So if I'm shitting on anybody, I'm shitting on myself here. But say you upgrade to that, right? A 2011 Colorado. So now you have this car. Well, it's like, now that's great for what you were used to. But now that you have that car, 2 years later, you're going to be like, man, I want a bigger truck. I want a faster one, a nicer one, a newer one. And it's always going to be that way. So that's why I feel like appreciate everything first. Worry about what you don't have some other time. Worrying about what you don't have is meaningless. That's an endless list. You could go on for days and days and days listing off things that you don't have. Start focusing on what you do have. That's how you appreciate. That's how you have gratitude. That's how you become happy and thankful, because you realize that not everyone has it. It could go away at any time. So appreciate what you have. That is the key to happiness. And if you can find a way to do what you love and get paid to do it, now you're making money and you're happy because you love what you do. You know, like if your favorite thing to do is play video games, and now all of a sudden you join Twitch and you start streaming and you start building an audience, you start building a following, and then all of a sudden you start getting money coming in from either Patreons or advertisers or wherever, you start getting enough views. Now you're doing something you love and people are paying you to do it. Imagine that. You know, I got a friend of mine who she makes like different types of crafts and things. Like she goes to old like garage sales, and she'll go to flea markets or even just scrapping by people's houses. Like she'll just drive, and if people have shit out by the road that looks like perfectly good condition, but they're just throwing it out, she'll pick that up and she'll take it home, and maybe she'll change the handles on a dresser, or she'll paint it, or she'll she'll just freshen it up or change it up. And then she sells these things and she likes doing it. And now she's going to sell them and make money. So now she might be able to make a career out of something she likes doing anyway. You understand? Like, you understand how happy that makes people? So instead of chasing money, instead of going, if you're young, if you're like 18 and you're about ready to go away to college, and you're like, I'm going to go to school for finances, or I'm going to go to school for accounting, or I'm going to go to school for this, you better be damn sure that that's what you love to do. Because you're going to get 3, 4, 5 years in of schooling, hate the subject, hate the topics, hate the all the homework and all the testing. You're going to hate it, and then you'll finally get your degree, and then you'll go off to do this for a living. You'll get paid good, but you'll be miserable because you hate fucking doing it anyway. But now you have to, because you spent all that time and money and effort going to school to get a degree to learn how to do something you hate doing just because it makes a lot of money. We need to stop doing this. We need to change the conversation around what people consider to be success. That's not successful. I don't give a fuck if you're a billionaire. If you're doing something you hate to do and it makes you miserable, you are not successful. You're wealthy. You're rich. Not really rich, but just rich. There's a huge difference, people. Huge difference. So I just want to help people get to that. And listen, I know I've rambled on for quite some time, and I only got to 2 fucking questions, but man, they were deep, and there were ones that I really wanted to I didn't want to just half-ass the questions. I wanted to give legit answers and real game plans here for what I think will help people. So I'm sorry I didn't get to more, and trust me, I'm going to start doing this more often. I can't wait to be doing these Ask Me Anything segments. So I love you guys, and I'll see you soon. I'll do another one as soon as, I'm going to try to do them every week. So we'll see how often this happens and how good I can be about that. So I love you guys, and I thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, please find me on any social media platform. Find me even through the Anchor app. You can leave voice messages. And I'd love to have you on, or I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to be a part of your life. You be a part of mine. So I can't wait. Even if you think I'm wrong and maybe you have different answers than I do. Maybe you have something to add. Please just let me know. Leave comments. YouTube too. You can find me on YouTube, Really Rich. Most of my podcast doesn't have video right now, but we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. But I love you guys, and I thank you again. Please find me at Really Rich Podcast on Instagram, Really Rich Adam on Twitter, Really Rich Snapchat, and YouTube. I almost said Yoo-hoo, like the fucking chocolate drink. And what was the other? Oh, LinkedIn, Adam Rich on LinkedIn. Please, I love to connect with every single one of you. So I love you guys, and I'll see you soon, all right? Peace. I'm out of here.